Hi everyone, we have a full moon in Leo coming up later this week, either the 25th of January or the 26th of January, depending on where you are in the world. For us in the UK on GMT, it will be the 25th of January, 1756. That's when the moon will be at its fullest. Okay, and so apply your own time zones as appropriate with that. But today I will, of course, be pulling up the charts as usual to show the transits of the full moon. So freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the full moon, see what's going on there. And I'll also pull up the chart with the UK's chart to give you some context on the house system and how it might be influencing the collective of the UK based on that, okay? I've also got some divination tools here, tarot and oracle, if I'm guided to use at the end for just some additional messages, okay? So we'll come on to all of that very shortly, and I will pull up the chart imminently. However, before I do, let's start talking about Aquarius season, because we are now in Aquarius season. Of course, the sun transited into Aquarius on the weekend, on Saturday, and that kickstarts Aquarius season. So we are now in air energy. Aquarius is an air sign, okay? It is fixed air energy, so there can be some stubbornness to some feelings around it, but it's air energy. So there is also movement to that. When you think of the air, the wind, and certainly for those of us in the UK will know it has been quite windy recently with these storms. However, it is allowing for communication to open up, for our thoughts to open up, because it's air energy. And we've come out of Capricorn season, very regimented and grounded. And of course, it's Saturn's home. So kind of devoid of emotion in some ways, because we just need to get the job done. We need to understand what it is that's going on, and also putting our own structures in place, putting our own rules in place. Certainly the new moon in Capricorn that we had was all about that. You know, what rules do we want to put in place for our lives? It's our life. What boundaries do we need to put in place? What structures do we want to put in place? And being quite focused about it. So now we're in Aquarius season, and this is all about innovation, and also freedom and liberation comes into Aquarius energy. There is rebirth energy to it as well, because the star in tarot is all about rebirth and healing, and it comes as a bit of a reset point. So it's very much about innovating our way forward. It's also carrying that individualistic trait of uniqueness. So how we're unique, and how we can carry that forward when we're connecting with others, because Aquarius rules the 11th house in astrology, which is about connecting with others. So we want to remain individual, but we're wanting to also connect with others. And this is very much soul tribe energy. We want to connect with others that are kindred spirits, as you know, to ourselves. So those that are very unique also in that way, but also generally, from a general point of view, I'm meaning, with the collective, connecting with others on a daily basis, and how we're going to be doing that going forward in this period. And it's not just the zodiac season of Aquarius. And I say that because on the weekend, we also have that massive ingress from Pluto into Aquarius, which is profound because, and you'll know this if you've seen my astrology report on the Pluto ingress, okay? Check it out on my YouTube channel if it resonates for you and if you want to find out more. But Pluto and the Sun were dancing together at the end of Capricorn for, I think it was 23 hours, 26 minutes. And the last 23 minutes of that was at the very, very end of Capricorn. So 29 degrees, 59 minutes. And 29 degrees is the final degree a planet, planetary body, asteroid can be in a sign before it moves to the next one. 59 minutes is obviously the final minute there. So they were at 29 degrees for a long time, and then the last 23 minutes they were exact conjunct 29:59. So I called it a dance of intensity, because that was the soul essence of the Sun with Pluto, god of the underworld, master of death and rebirth and transformation. It's not surface level stuff. This is deep transformation. of the soul, the sun, and they were together. So very, very, very profound. Okay. And at the end of Capricorn as well. So at the end of a cycle, at the end of maybe a structural cycle that's not resonating with us anymore, where we need to clean house. And of course, Pluto's been in Capricorn doing that. That's Saturn's home. So Pluto and Saturn have very much been working together. They're both powerful, powerful energies. And you know, to not labor on that too much, but that ingress into Aquarius, okay, so they were dancing together at the end of Capricorn. The sun then moved in and kickstarted Aquarius season. So that was the soul driving that forward. And then Pluto rejoined the sun when he moved into Aquarius. So they danced together for another, I don't know if it was 11 or 12 hours now, but they danced together for that time at 0 degrees. So they were closing out a cycle together and beginning a cycle together. And it was deep transformation, Pluto, of the soul, the sun. So if you've been needing to close out a cycle and to start a new cycle, this energy, certainly at this time, very supportive of that, even if it feels challenging. Because as I say, it's not surface level, it's deep stuff. We've had to face a lot of that through this transformative journey, through our healing journey. Okay, that's not going to be news to you if you've been going through it yourself. And of course, later on in the year, there will be that point of Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn, just so as part of the retrograde, just to kind of clean house again and then go back into Aquarius. So we have almost got another moment where cleaning house is going to happen. But essentially, you know, Pluto is in a sign for 19, 20 years. So this is why it's not just a zodiac season. This is major transformation that Pluto is calling for now in a sign that represents freedom and liberation and also innovation. So this is a new way of being, new ways of connecting with others, okay? Innovative ways of bringing ourselves forward as our individualistic, unique self. And also the transformation that's needed to support all of that, of course. But this is transformation to liberate us. So we've come from kind of being tied to structures and systems and thought patterns and beliefs that are not serving us. And now we're moving into this new way of actually approaching life and the journey, if you like, which sounds quite deep. Okay, so that's all been happening. And yesterday, Venus moved into Capricorn. So Venus shines the spotlight on our investments, in terms of where we're investing our resources, our time, our attention, our energy, our love, our money. Are we getting that return? Are we getting that reciprocal energy that's making our heart space happy, Venus? Is it bringing us joy? Are we feeling that love from it? And also, is it inspiring us to create more with that divine feminine essence of Venus? But there's certainly love is a pivotal part of this. Self-love is a pivotal part of this, because we're understanding where we're investing our time and energy and our attention, and if we're getting those returns back, if it's making us happy. And if it's not, you know, with Venus in Capricorn, this is about putting boundaries in place. If we need to invest more, perhaps letting some boundaries down. So it's allowing the Capricornian energy that's quite structured to be quite realistic with Venus now and say, okay, we've got to get this sorted now in terms of where we're investing our time, energy, money, love, resources, attention, etc. Okay, so that's happened recently. And now we've got this full moon coming up. And after the full moon, it's just a couple of days later, and Uranus is going to be stationing direct. So Uranus will finally be coming out of his retrograde. Uranus rules Aquarius. Okay, so there is that aspect of change and innovation. And sometimes it can be unexpected change as well. But also think of the freedom and liberation. So if he's coming out of retrograde, moving direct, all of the planets will actually be direct then. So there's more of a flow to the energy. And it's perhaps going to enable us to really get things moving in terms of that change and in terms of that freedom and liberation that we want to experience. Okay, so January has been pretty jam-packed, as I'm sure you've probably felt. So without further ado, let's pull up the chart. Okay, the first one. So this is the full moon in Leo, folks. Okay, so what you'll see there is you'll see the chart, which is just showing you as an event, the full moon in Leo. Okay, it's a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time. And this is happening for us in the UK on the 25th of January at 17:54 GMT. So apply your own time zones as appropriate. It's the 25th of January for most places, but Australia, I think it's the 26th, okay? And this will be when the moon is at its fullest. That's why it's the full moon, okay? But obviously for a couple of days beforehand, you can look up in the sky and see the moon and you're like, wow, full moon. Well, this is when it's at its fullest, okay? So what we have here is it's a full moon in Leo, 5 degrees of Leo, and full moons are always opposite the sun. So the sun is, of course, in Aquarius, as we just covered, with Pluto right there. But you can see that the sun has already moved to 5 degrees now. They're still close to each other, but that's that direct opposition now with the sun and the moon. Okay. So we have got this full moon that is in a sign that rules the 5th house in astrology, which is the house of love. And when we think of Leo energy, there is very much this essence of love because it's the heart chakra and it's the courageous lion. And also there is this authentic expression of self, as in the true soul expression, and not being afraid to show it, you know, with that courage, not being afraid to show it. And also this kind of being seen for who we are, okay, as that true authentic self through the lens of love, if you like. So with this full moon, and full moons illuminate, we know that because the moon illuminates the night sky, doesn't it, when it's a full moon? So it illuminates things for us. And it can also help us, the lunar energy can help us release. That's what the full moon is great for. If you've got a practice with the moon, okay, a ritual with the moon, it's great for releasing. So as this is in the sign of Leo, this is, of course, about perhaps illumination, where there may be aspects, situations, where maybe we don't feel seen or recognized. And it could be illuminating that to us. And we could be feeling that because it's the moon and that represents feelings and emotions. So how are we feeling about not being seen in certain situations? How are we feeling about where maybe we do need a bit more courage in certain situations? Okay. And there can be many. So take this as it resonates, of course. But with the sun in the opposite sign of Aquarius, which again is about that liberation, freedom, but also connections with others and being individual at the same time. But there's that opposition energy, okay, between the moon and the sun. So are there any connections with other people that don't make you feel like you're being seen or recognized? Are there any connections with others where you don't feel like you can be your full, true, authentic soul expression? It could be bringing those up. It could be illuminating them. And of course, if you're aware of them, this is where you can work with the energy to release. And you might just need to be releasing fears around courage, fears around being seen, okay, from your own sort of shadow work that you've been doing. And understanding that, okay, I recognize I need to step out of my comfort zone a bit here. I need to adopt that courage of the Leo energy. So I need to release the fears that are surrounding that are preventing me from stepping forward into that energy. So it could be that, okay? Remember, illumination of certain things and also working with the releasing energy. Now, what I did notice, okay, straight away, was that Saturn is also at 5 degrees. So we've got 555 here, and that symbolizes major change. And we know we're in a period of major change because I've just covered that. But Saturn in Pisces, of course, the house of the divine, wants us to get in line with our spiritual truth, serving up lessons, okay, to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth. And those lessons that Saturn has been serving up has enabled us to release certain things because we're moving forward and we're evolving. We're gaining that wisdom from Saturn and we're moving forward. We're closing out cycles. We're moving forward. So it's very much supporting the change just from the 555 that I'm drawn to intuitively. Okay. And if we look at Saturn himself, he is in sextile to Venus and also Jupiter. So Jupiter's in Taurus and Venus is in Capricorn, as I mentioned. So sextile is also a harmonious aspect. So when it comes to expansion and growth of that Jupiter energy, this is very much part of, you know, what we've been learning. We are expanding, and when Jupiter was in retrograde, there was a lot of focus on inner growth. Now this is about how this is reflected back to us in our external reality. We're almost seeing where our world is expanding and opening up for us as a result of us learning these lessons, and as a result of us being aware of what we do need to release, and maybe if we do need to step out of our comfort zone, okay, with that Leo energy, and be courageous and move forward. It's allowing for that expansion as well. But worth and values come into this. So Jupiter is in Taurus, as is Uranus. So this is about worth and values, and we need to understand our worth in order to release certain things, because if we know we're worthy of being treated a certain way and we're not being treated that way, we can work with the energy to release it or to put boundaries in place. But we need to believe that we're worthy of these divine opportunities and blessings, okay, in order to release the fears that are surrounding them, okay, or any situations that are not resonating with us. Because remember, this sextile to Saturn, it is linked to our spiritual truth. What's in alignment with that? Who's in alignment with that? And I said worth and values. So of course, as our values have changed, are those around us that we're connecting to on the same page as us when it comes to values? Do we share the same values, or are we completely different now? So it's recognition of that. But the sextile is harmonious. So it's helping us grow. It's helping us expand, and it's helping our external reality expand around us to allow us to be open to more opportunities. And we can feel hopeful of that, because Jupiter also brings hope and luck. Okay. And the other part of that, you know, with the Saturn sextile to Venus, again, with the investments. So wherever we are investing our time, our energy, our love, our resources, our money, our attention, are we getting that return? Is that making us happy? Is it filling up our cup, so to speak? Is it making us feel good? Look at the moon in Leo. Is it making us feel seen? Are we recognized for this in that way of being recognized by another or a group of people, whatever it might be? Okay, it could be a situation. So it's like, okay, I'm investing all my time into this project and I'm really not getting the joy from it. It's just not serving me. That could be something that needs to be released, because maybe you don't feel seen in that project, in that environment. And you're putting all this energy in and you're just not being seen. Your efforts are not being recognized. So we need to take accountability for that. And of course, that's where the Venus in Capricorn can allow us to put those boundaries in place, but also to kind of remove emotion from it with that Capricornian sense of, okay, that's not working for me, so that's got to go. That's not working for me. A boundary needs to be put in place. That's not working for me. X, Y, Z, fill in the blank. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like allowing us to be quite regimented about where we are investing our time, energy, love, and emotions. And Saturn, you know, it's making Saturn happy because we're learning the lessons. We're learning the lessons and we're cleansing the karma, because maybe we've tolerated the situation for too long now. And the energy is now saying to us, this is about, okay, this is Aquarius season, but this is Pluto in Aquarius. So things need to transform and change now. This is getting to the point of things need to change. So it's allowing us to really focus on it. But if you've not been aware of this and you're suddenly aware of it, it can feel like a freight train coming out of nowhere. It's almost like, whoa, you know, this energy is intense. But as I said, if this is resonating for you, you're going to know that this change has been upon us for some time. Okay, building up to it, closing out cycles, And we can still close out cycles. It's not like Pluto is in Aquarius, that's it, the door's closed, we can't close out cycles. No, but this is about realization of, we have really got to get ourselves sorted with this now. You know, let's make sure we're moving forward in that new, innovative way. We're keeping our individual traits, we're connecting with others differently, but in a way that's more freeing and liberating than what we've been used to. Okay, and making our own rules, setting our own boundaries, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about that with Saturn. But the 555 definitely struck me as you know, pivotal change, and we know that that's upon us 100%. You'll see that the triangles are there, and they represent the trines, which are also harmonious. Okay, but I will just mention about the square that's going from the moon across to Jupiter. So I've just said to you about Jupiter and how the lessons we're learning is allowing us to expand because we're growing, and then we're seeing that as we grow more and we accept that and we embody our worth in that way, we can then experience that in our external reality by being open to opportunities. So there is that expansion naturally there. But the challenge, because squares can represent challenging energy, may just be in our feelings, the moon, okay, when it comes to having the courage, Leo energy, to step into those opportunities. Okay, so it's being brave. This is calling for braveness and really embodying that lion energy, that courage, and not being afraid of being seen for who we are as the real deal, you know, as the soul that we are. And that ties in with the worth. So if we don't know our worth, that can also cause that challenging energy, because we're kind of like, oh no, I really don't think I could do it. I really don't think I can do it. And that's going to limit the expansion that can happen. Okay, because our external reality is certainly what is reflected back to us based on our internal condition. Okay, so that just might explain why it could feel challenging in that respect. It all starts with worth and values and our assessment of that. Okay, the trines. So Uranus, okay, there's a trine that's going to Juno and also a trine going to Lilith, and both of which are in Virgo. You'll see that. And I've put a blue line there, okay, because I was drawn to the 1221, which is a mirrored number situation that we've got there. And Juno is the asteroid that represents love and marriage, but also I've been talking about Juno for a while in terms of supportive partnerships, committed partnerships, soul contracts, okay, because of what's been shown in the astrology previously, in the very recent past. Okay, so being in Virgo, okay, almost wanting to kind of be in control of those supportive partnerships, and Lilith in Virgo also perhaps being a bit self-critical in some situations because of wanting to feel in control of how things are going to unfold. So the shadow side of Lilith could be just revealing that, where we're being a bit too kind of self-critical of situations that are going to be changing with that Uranus energy. But also the trine is also going across to Mars and Mercury in Capricorn. So it's really about here that masculine drive within us of taking action, okay, having the courage to take action, that drive to go after what we want, and for us to communicate that and express that in a real way. Mercury in Capricorn can be quite blunt because it's that Capricornian energy again, and it could even be the communication we need to have with ourselves. Okay, that can be quite blunt. We could be having a real talk with ourselves about this. It's like, we need to get this in order. Let's have a talk to ourselves about, okay, our worth and values, and how that ties in with the shadow work that's been going on, and how that also links in with supportive partnerships. So where do we want to be going with all of this? The masculine drive, really wanting to facilitate change with that Uranus energy. Okay, because there's also that trine from Mars and Mercury up to Uranus. So of course, facilitating change through action and through communication, and understanding that the feminine energy, so that's the masculine energy over there, but the feminine energy is also at play, okay, the shadow work that we've been going through to address where perhaps fears and doubts and deep-rooted anxieties have been coming from is helping to drive us forward with that masculine drive, because it's like, okay, now I understand. I've tried to release that pattern, but now I understand why this is coming up. I've got to now express myself to facilitate change. Okay. And also in any supportive partnerships, you know, to enable these soul contracts to really kind of get off the ground, so to speak, it does require action. It does require communication, but in a real way. And it does also require that need for understanding one's worth, again, because it's Taurus energy. So that is going to come into play if we can understand our worth and values, and we're aligning with people that are of the same values. Okay. And the shadow work that we've been doing is also facilitating change, because it's driving us forward with that masculine energy of, okay, I've addressed that, now I need to communicate it. And it's just, it seems to be that it's the feminine side and the masculine side working in harmony. So that's great, because that's a balance. I know it's not Venus in this trine, but it's still feminine and masculine energy. And it's also light and shadow feminine energy. So that's also a balance, because we need to have the light and shadow. And the fact that these two are mirrored, okay, there could also be soulmate situations, because soulmates are mirrors to us. They show us what we don't want to possibly face, okay? So that is also this Mercury and Capricorn, harshness, bluntness to communication and expression. And that can be happening in soulmate situations. And we can have soulmates as friends and family members, as well as romantic, okay? So it could be anything. But these individuals could be kind of holding up a mirror to you, metaphorically, and kind of saying, look at yourself with this, look at yourself, because it then forces us to go within and address the shadow aspects that are bringing certain things up. Yeah. So that with Mercury and Capricorn could very much be that almost harsh or blunt communication, but real, honest communication that comes from a soulmate connection, because it's a mirror, it's a mirrored experience to allow for shadow work to be done, which is then going to facilitate the change and the liberation and freedom from a situation that is not serving you anymore, that's not in alignment with your worth and values anymore. That's why it's a trine, it's harmonious. It's not saying that there's a square there. Okay, there is a square that's going from Juno to Venus. Okay, so it does link to investments. So if we're not investing in the right people, we're going to find this challenging. But if we're investing in the right people, and they are showing us these things, if they are showing us these truths that maybe we've not wanted to deal with, but they're doing it for the highest good, because it's that soulmate energy, it's that kindred spirit energy, it's a supportive partnership. And I don't know what just happened there. Something happened down in my kitchen. Okay, but I feel that was a message. But you know, if we're connecting with the right people and they are going to show us that, it's ultimately going to help us, because it's helping us address the shadow work that we need to in order to facilitate that change and to drive that action forward in terms of where we're heading, what we're heading towards. Okay, so very, very, very good there. But certainly full moon, yeah, illumination of these aspects. Okay, so it could even be illuminating these supportive partnerships that are actually showing you where to address shadow aspects and how that's going to facilitate change. Okay, it could also be illuminating to you further lessons that are teaching you to expand, to be open to opportunities, to step out of your comfort zone about being seen, to then be open to those opportunities, to know your worth. And also the investments. Where are you investing your time, energy, love, attention, money, resources, etc.? So those are things that could all be illuminated, and the releasing could be fears around that. Could be fears around being seen, being recognized, fears around opening up to new opportunities, fears around kind of knowing one's worth. Okay, fears around supportive partnerships. Okay, fears around the truth that's being revealed because of not wanting to face certain shadow aspects. It could be that. And ultimately, you know, this deep, profound transformation. So releasing any fears around that, almost accepting that this period of time now is about innovation and moving forward to liberate ourselves from that which is not serving us and that what might have been holding us back previously. Okay, even if it's a self-limiting belief or thought pattern, okay, but it could be a major cycle closeout on another scale. Okay, so it's understanding, but 555 profound change. This is embracing that and releasing, potentially releasing any fears around that as well to move forward, because that takes courage, that takes stepping out of one's comfort zone, which is that Leo energy, shining brightly as the soul that you are, an expression of that, full expression of that from the heart space. Okay. Okay. Releasing fears around the heart space is another thing I'll mention. Okay. So now I am just going to quickly pull up the chart for the UK. Okay, so this is when I put two charts together, and if I'm doing a reading for a client, this is where I would use the natal chart of the client at the center. In this case, I've got the UK's natal chart. Okay, and there's a reason for that date if you're wondering. And the outer wheel is the transits of the event. So this basically shows you the two charts together. So we've got the natal chart, which is the natal chart, and that is a freeze frame of the cosmos when you were born. Okay, and then the outer wheel would be the transits of the event. So the transits of the present day, but also a freeze frame, and looking at the aspects and the alignments to see where that might be impacting you as a person on your journey. But for this case, it's about how it could be impacting the collective when it comes to the UK, because it's the UK's natal chart, and it gives you context on the house system. Okay, because we also look at that within astrology as well. So the moon will actually be the full moon in the first house for the UK. That's the first house of the self. So opposite there, we have the seventh house where the Sun and Pluto are. And the seventh house is relationships with people, places, and things. So it's not just connections with others. It is places and things, anything we have a relationship with. However, there could be emphasis on people because Aquarius energy is here, and that is the 11th house, connections with others. And if we look at the 11th house, that's where Uranus is for the UK. So change, freedom, liberation, but of course in accordance with our worth and values. And so there is definitely something about where change is needed in our connections with others. Okay, but it's also about the transformation here in our relationships generally, with people, with places, with things, with jobs, with thought patterns, etc. Okay, so that's where that opposition energy is. So of course, you look at the possible illumination of the self with the first house there of, you know, where you're not being seen as yourself, and how that relates to your relationships where transformation is needed. Okay, courage is all about the self. Okay, so yes, here we have so illuminations around that, but also the need to maybe release any fears around that when it comes to the self. Self-love is pivotal here. Leo representing love as well. So first house, self-love. Okay. And the sextile with Saturn, so apologies, sextile with Saturn is from the 8th house going across to the 10th house, and the one with Venus is to the 6th house. So the 10th house represents inner authority, can also relate to work. And the 6th house is daily routines and schedules, well-being, as well as where we're of service to others. Now, not surprising that Venus is in the 6th house when I'm talking about this, because those lessons that Saturn is teaching us, Saturn is in the house of power and passion as well. But let's look at power and empowerment of self, because we're getting in alignment with our spiritual truth. So Saturn wants to empower us by teaching us lessons. And when it comes to our investments, Venus now in the 6th house. So of course, where might we be of service to other people? And we're investing our time, energy, and attention into those people. Where might boundaries be needed? Where might some rules be needed? Because that's obviously going to empower us if we put those in place. And note as well that Venus is conjunct the UK's natal south node. So this could be, there could be some karmic situations going on here that are related to the past life scenarios. Okay. And I won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but there's been a lot of that coming up. Patterns in the present day that you might think, where on earth is that coming from? But you've recognized it as a repeating pattern. And it could be something from childhood in this lifetime. It could be from a past life. And it's actually coming up now because it needs to be cleansed and healed once and for all. So if you know that, you know it, okay? But there is this kind of feeling here that perhaps some of these investments could be tied into a past life pattern. And maybe where we overinvest in situations, okay, and we're not getting that return. Well, now Saturn is teaching us that lesson to become more empowered and put boundaries in place and also cleanse the karma at the same time. And the other sextile, of course, to Jupiter, that expansion within our inner authority and our working life as well. Let's not discount that. So he's empowering us to understand our worth when it comes to that and to be open to those opportunities that are in alignment with not only our spiritual truth, but our worth and values. Okay, so that's where that comes into play. And that's also expanding our inner authority as we do that, because as we feel more empowered, we do have more of that inner authority and vice versa. And it's all about the sovereignty as well. You know, we're striving to be sovereign beings, leaders of our own life. So we feel that empowerment, we can move forward in that way. And that also ties in with setting our own rules. Okay. The square that's going from the moon to Jupiter, there we go. So 1st and 10th house. So yeah, just that challenge about having the courage to step out of a comfort zone. So that relates to the self and it relates to our working life or our inner authority. Also potentially how other people see us, because social status can be a part of this as well. So that might just be a bit challenging. And I mentioned that Uranus is obviously in the 11th house of connections with others. Well, Lilith and Juno are down here in the 3rd house of expression, communication and expression. And Mars and Mercury are in the 6th house. So yes, again, sort of things that are being shown to us in terms of maybe our expression and how that relates to our connections with others, and perhaps where we need to communicate boundaries or where we need to communicate what we want in our daily routines and schedules, and also where we're of service to others as well. But that kindred soul energy as well, you know, understanding that this relates to expression and it relates to being of service, but it also relates to our well-being and understanding that if certain aspects are coming in, being expressed to us quite bluntly or quite harshly, from soulmate energy, you know, kindred spirit energy that is really helping us to address any shadow work. It could be that that's done from a place of, well-being, 6th house, but also needing to clean things up because the 6th house is ruled by Virgo, you know, from a general perspective, obviously. And the Virgo energy in this particular chart, looking at this, is happening in the 3rd house. So there is that tie-in with definitely wanting to kind of like clean things up and get things sorted. So we need to address certain shadow aspects that's going to facilitate that change in order to feel liberated in our connections with others. So liberated in the sense of feeling free to be who we are in a soulmate connection. Okay, that's what I would say to that one. So I am going to stop sharing now and I'm going to pull some cards. So I will timestamp this as well, because sometimes people just want to get the messages from the cards. So let's see, first of all, from the Goddess Spirit deck, what messages we have. Okay. For the collective. Okay, messages for the highest good from the pure white light. Okay, and certainly for the full moon, again, it's that emphasis. Well, that one wanted to fall out. And what does that say on it? Storms, meaningful destruction. That is the Tower energy. okay, which is about change. It's destruction of the old to rebuild the new, and that's exactly what we've just seen with the Sun and Pluto, Capricorn moving into Aquarius. Okay, so we are closing out cycles. Tower moments are happening, and that's why it can feel challenging also to be open to new opportunities, because we're trying to sort of battle through almost what we're needing to close out. So it's, you know, we're working through that. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves too much, but we are getting things closed out. So that's in alignment with the energy, is what I would say. Okay, let's see what else. There we go. Well, what do you know? We have healer, loving connection. So that's beautiful. So that is definitely representing the heart chakra. Okay, so the Leo energy is coming through there. This is honoring the heart chakra, honoring the heart space. And it came out in the upright, didn't come out in reverse. So it may be that you're going through a period of heart healing, actually. And this full moon could be enabling that, because again, with the release. So releasing any sort of past pain, not holding on to it in the heart space, because maybe you've been too guarded, and there is a need to release and gain the wisdom from that pain of past experiences, but to move forward with an open heart. Okay, so I'm just thinking in my mind's eye there of the Jupiter sort of expansive energy. So allowing the heart space to expand. And also thinking about it, because I just saw that red line. So it's kind of like that square, that challenging energy between the full moon and Jupiter is almost a challenge to kind of open, to expand the heart space. If there has been this sort of fear or, you know, kind of pain of the past, or there might just be fear of actually opening your heart to experience love, to be seen in a situation. That could be what's going on. So that might be just some things that need to be worked on with the full moon, to set the intentions to release that, to not hold on to the pain, to just allow it to be released, to trust and to be open to new opportunities. Okay, when it comes to the heart space, for that Venus to fill up that joy energy of the heart space. Okay, I've got a couple of moon decks, so let's go for Moonology. This is the OG deck. Okay, let's see. Moonology. Oh, they wanted to fly out, didn't they? Wow. I think these two came out before. This is really quite something. This is Libra energy. So that is Libra rules the seventh house, relationships with people, places, things. But it says here a win-win outcome is forecast. And it says a new romantic cycle begins. And what I'm also drawn to is it's full moon energy and new moon energy, but there is balance here, because look, the scales of justice are on both cards. So this is balanced reciprocal energy of a relationship. It could be a supportive partnership that I mentioned in the astrology, okay, where a win-win outcome is forecast, it's balanced, it's harmonious, so no need to fear the heart space. This was also in the upright, remember? So it's saying it's safe to open your heart space to these opportunities, because a new romantic cycle begins. And this is all about accepting. There's also two sides to this as well. So the balance needs to come from both people, of course, but ultimately this is about moving forward into a new cycle. And it's fairness, it's reciprocity, it's equal give and take. It is that kindred spirit type energy, okay, sharing the same values, wanting to strive for the same things, because that's fair, that's right, that's just, you know, when you think of justice. And the full moon, new moon, so that's part of the lunar cycle, okay, because we have the new moon and then we get to the full moon, and then we have the new moon, then we have, you know, so it's constantly moving cycles. This is about cycles. Closing out what doesn't serve us, of course, to move forward towards what does serve us, and opening our heart space to those opportunities. Queen of the Moon. Just drawn to that on the bottom, resilience. So you may feel like you've been carrying a load for a long time. It's time to put that load down, especially if that relates to a cycle that's not serving you, okay? And that could be anything. Yeah, because peace, you want peace. And there's a circle there. So I'm also thinking of a cycle there. This is about wanting peace in one's life. And yeah, on the bottom, boundaries in reverse. Where do boundaries need to be put in place? Okay. Let's go for the star codes astro. I should say as well, I said at the beginning of this, that this is based on collective energy. Of course, it's not going to resonate for everybody. Okay. Personal readings are available, obviously, but yeah, for collective readings, it's not going to resonate for everybody. There's so many people out there in the collective, it is just not going to resonate with everybody. Okay. Right, let's see. What are the messages from the astro deck? Are there any messages from the astro deck? Let's see. Yep, there we go. Oh, okay, right. Well, on the bottom, we've got the 7th house relationship. That's hidden energy. So you might not see that coming. Capricorn, achieve. So there's that focus and drive. We've come out of Capricorn season, but we still have Mars in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, and Venus in Capricorn. Okay, so this is about definitely being quite focused in terms of where we're heading, being focused in terms of our communication, and being focused in terms of where we're investing our resources. Okay. Boundaries are also part of that energy as well. Okay. Right. See if there's any messages from the unfolding path tarot to go with this. Okay, in terms of the full moon Leo. Any important messages for the collective? Well, straight away. Okay, right. Okay. Right, we have Page of Swords. Beautiful deck. I love this. King of Pentacles in reverse, and then we've got the moon in reverse. So interesting that we've got the moon for the full moon. So absolutely saying that something is hidden here. So the full moon could be illuminating this, okay? And this is about truth. It could be a message. So this could relate to communication. It's the Page of Swords. There is also some sort of learning to this as well, some wisdom that you're gaining potentially. And it might relate to an earth sign, doesn't have to. This is just somebody who needs to know their worth, okay? And somebody who needs to be loyal to themselves, because the King of Pentacles is very, very loyal to themselves, sovereign being, of course, in this position, not really being a leader of their life. So maybe needing to put rules in place. And it could be something that you're discovering. If this is about yourself, it could be that you're discovering, and don't get caught up in genders, by the way, of the cards. This is the energy of the cards, but certainly understanding and gaining the wisdom of where maybe you do need to put rules in place, or perhaps where you've not been in your full embodiment of worth. Okay, and that could be what's illuminated to you. It could be a message from somebody as well, okay, who's not really been ready to step forward in that sovereign way. It could be that as well. Let's have a look from the Light Seers Tarot. Okay, let's see what the moon could be also illuminating for us. The full moon. What could the full moon? I don't believe it. Actually, I do, because this is how synchronized the messages are. So thank you, Spirit, for this. I'll show you what that card was. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, for the full moon, please. Okay, right. On the bottom, we have strength. That's Leo energy. And underneath that, we have Queen of Cups in reverse. So again, don't get caught up in gender here, but the Queen of Cups, as a court card, as a sovereign being, she is open to receive. She's comfortable in her emotions, and she is open to receive love. That is saying she is not open to receive love, okay? So whether you are masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter. This is about saying that there is strength needed to be open to receive love. And it ties back to this, keeping the heart chakra open, okay? But this is absolutely relating to the full moon in Leo, because this is Leo energy, because it relates to the heart chakra as well. Okay. And that's on the bottom, so that's hidden energy. Okay, so you need to find that hidden strength within to be open to receive love. Okay, because it's here. It's here. This was the card that was very synchronized. You'll see what it is, because of course we saw it in exactly the same way, both reversed, the moon. So the moon is Piscean energy, can also be Cancerian energy as well, okay, because the moon is the ruler of Cancer, but I see it as Piscean in the tarot, okay. But absolutely something hidden here. And we also have this. So this Three of Swords can symbolize heartbreak, but in this deck, and this is why I love working with different decks, this is about being pulled in many different directions, because you can see the pain on this person's face of the heart being pulled in different directions. Okay. And it's not to say that there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or something love interests or anything like that. This is about kind of that Venus energy again, the investments. Where are you investing that heart space energy? In the right places, or is it feeling like this, that it's kind of pulling on you, you're not getting the return? It could also symbolize, because of what I've seen, you know, the pain of past heartbreak and how that is really pulled on the heartstrings. Okay, but this card here, Justice, and it's in reverse, but notice in reverse the reflection, which is not a true reflection, but the reflection here is actually, she has her eyes open. It's a Libra energy. And we saw that with those two cards. A new romantic cycle begins, a win-win forecast. A win-win outcome is forecast, if I can get my words out right. Okay. So basically, what we have here is somebody who is fully aware that there is pain in their heart space. Okay. And there might be a need to just release that with the moon there in reverse, but it could be illumination of that. So that could actually wake this person up to that feeling of, okay, yes, my heart is being pulled in those places, or I do need to let some pain of the past go to restore balance again. Okay, to be consciously aware of that, if that makes sense, because that's quite dreamy, but that's kind of with her eyes open there, that's very aware of that. Okay, all right. Let's see with the wisdom of the oracle if we've got final message, and then we'll wrap things up. Final message, final message. Final message, please, for the collective. Whoops. I feel like there's another one in there. That one, thank you. Yep. Okay, on the bottom, go the distance. Okay, this is a journey. Okay, this is a journey. And these two came out first of all, no place like home and serendipity in reverse. So this is about acknowledging those moments where they're fated and destined, and perhaps there's been a reluctance to accept that because you have felt at home in a situation, or something has made you feel quite peaceful and at home, and understanding that actually that could be a fated moment coming in for you. There might be fears around that as well. Treasure Island, okay, is almost saying that, oh, do you know another message? I'm sorry, just getting through here, is that this is also to say that home can be anywhere that feels comfortable to you. So if it's a step out of a comfort zone, that can still feel like home to you as you grow into it, if that makes sense. That's the message that was coming through. But Treasure Island, and there's a turtle there, if that's symbolic for anybody, but this is about knowing where your treasure is, understanding where that treasure is for you. Okay, and that's going to be unique to everybody, but understanding where your treasure is and nurturing that, being open to that. Okay, because it's treasure. Yeah. Okay, but understanding it is a journey, and the higher power is there to say you can connect in with source energy. That energy flows through us. Okay, if we can tap into it, it's an amazing, powerful gift that we have. Okay, it's that source creation energy flowing through us. Okay, it's amazing and magical, but trust your intuition. Okay, and you might need the strength just to open your heart to opportunities. Okay, right. Yes, I think, oh, do you know what? I've just split the deck again, and that one's come out. This is change. It's big, you know, power moments are happening. Power moments are happening. And I will say also as well, I've got flamingos on this glass. Dare to be a flamingo. Dare to be different. Embrace your uniqueness is what I would say. So I'm sending you love and blessings, okay, for this upcoming full moon in Leo. And just remember that, you know, full moons, okay, again, it's illumination. So you might receive clarity of certain things if you're open to it, of course. And also work with that lunar energy if you need to release anything, particularly around any fears to do with being seen or recognized, or that heart chakra energy because of the Leo essence. You know, we work with the energy of where the full moon is, what the sign is, the other aspects that are going on. So everything I've mentioned in the astrology, okay, if that's resonating for you, then work with it to release any fears, to move forward, to expand and open yourself up to these opportunities that are here for you. Because this new cycle, it came out in the cards, obviously, as a romantic cycle. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It can just be simply saying this is a new cycle that is going to really give you that emotional fulfillment. And, you know, to step forward knowing that you're worthy of that, knowing that you're worthy of happiness and joy and love as well. But you need to understand you're worthy of it in order to then reach for it in that way. Okay, and that takes courage. That's the Leo energy. So work with the energy of the full moon, release what you need to, and you know, set those intentions of cycles that you're aware of that you need to close out, that you might still be working through, and that's okay. It's a process for everybody. But if you're aware and you've acknowledged what needs to close out because you know it's not serving you anymore, because you've evolved, your values have changed and things have changed, it's about setting the intentions and taking the steps forward to make that change happen. Okay, and being open to supportive partnerships and being open to yourself as a divine being who is worthy of receiving love, joy, and abundance. Okay, so sending you love and blessings. Take care, and until the next time, I will see you soon. All the best. Bye for now.